Welcome to week 5, and I hope that you guys are seeing now, after your first exam, that you're doing fine. Now, many of you were really upset with the results on the multiple choice. Now you notice I gave the option of multiple choice or to do an essay exam. Some of you who are doing really well in my class and learned a lot were really surprised how poorly you did on multiple choice. Keep that in mind while school districts or government officials try to use multiple choice exams as a way to measure success or intelligence in the way that the teacher is teaching or what you're learning. So I kind of impart every once in a while, I generally steer away from multiple choice. Some students thrive with multiple choice, but I think that it's good for you to kind of pause and think about, ask yourself a question. If you think you've been learning in this class, and I think that those of you who've been keeping up are, and you didn't do the way that you thought you should, then maybe there's a problem with the approach to multiple choice, right? I mean, because ultimately, just like myself as a historian, I pick and choose what I'm going to highlight to you guys, right? I'm not an expert on everything in the world. And so when you go through this chapter, there's parts of this, if you ask me a question, my answer would be I don't know. And part of it is because I haven't had the time to study that point, and maybe because it's not my interest. So, I have some friends who really focus on economic history or military battles. And those are all relevant and significant, but not everybody's main thing to try to eke out. And what you learn is in history for getting your master's or your PhD, it's a person who is just specializing more and more on one particular thing, not necessarily broadening your knowledge as much as you're really nailing a particular topic. So I don't know, just keep that in mind, especially for those of you who are going into education and thinking about pedagogy and the value of how to measure intelligence or success in education. Now, I think many of you are now seeing it's very clear, right? Like I said, Greece, influence on our civilization, clear as day. And now we move into Rome, even more so. And you could really say that Western civilization is the legacy of the Greco-Roman tradition. You'll see more and more what I'm saying about that as we move in from this week and then next week even more so when Rome shows its influence on Western Europe. And I think that I guess I'll save it for later to talk about. But in Europe, well, no, I'm going to talk about it here, and I'll mention it again next week because it's such an important topic. And I can say this neutrally, I think, just to really kind of get us hip to the program. And I'm going to mention our president in a way that I think is intellectually edifying and not partisan. Most scholars and historians do not debate that what we see with the presidency of Trump comes out of populism. That is a trend taking place in Europe right now. And populists can spin into fascism. Not every populist is a fascist. You could probably argue that fascists are at least rooted in populism. And what does that mean? Instead of giving you a long, complicated answer for that, just to say that when there's a crisis in society economically, when you have issues with foreigners or when things don't feel right, strong men often come in and are able to kind of help. People see them as heroes to kind of rein in things. Now, the point I'm actually trying to emphasize is that in Europe, there is this trend as well, and Putin is actually kind of seen as an inspiration to these movements as well. And you have Europeans feeling very threatened by foreign immigration, especially Muslim, and they're invoking their past to think about how can we preserve Germany as being German or Britain as being British. And the Roman legacy gets brought up, and the Germanic past and the Celtic past. And so the history we're about to learn gets interwoven into many of what you would simply call white nationalist movements, rhetoric, and conception of history that's taking place right now. There are these trends that are taking place. Some are more extreme on the fringe, and others are more mainstream. And so what I want you to kind of see now is the history that we're going to be going forward with. On these announcements, I'm going to be addressing this almost every time, because there is a certain sense, current politics in different ideological sections of society is using this history, the Greco-Roman tradition, and then we're going to learn the Germanic roots and so forth, to invoke a particular nationalist narrative that galvanizes certain forces within many European countries to quote-unquote save the nation. And I think the information I just told you, almost nobody who knows current politics really disputes. What they dispute is if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If that's what to do with that information is the debate. So I hope that you actually see that not only is the topic, not only are the topics that we're covering interesting, they really do apply to what's going on now in a way that if you comprehend and start grasping what we're covering in Western civilization, you will start to get a sense of really what's going on. I think I've already said that enough, but I'm going to keep emphasizing it to you because of what I see as probably one of the greatest ideological existential questions of the Western world right now, is what next for the West? Because there is a reality that there are many, many people from non-European countries, and Muslim in particular, that don't have a history of being in nations that way. And so what's the conclusion? We have integration where people actually get along and function in a multicultural society, or do we have it where we absorb ourselves into one identity, or as many of the white nationalist groups are arguing that this is not sustainable, and then we have ethnic cleansing. The ethnic cleansing part is something that's being muted in innuendo on many of these circles. So see, it's kind of big. It's a huge debate. And so I just kind of want you to think about that as we go through this again. So sorry for being so wordy. Feel free to always call or chat with me if you even want to, kind of expand on this topic. And I'll try to give you as neutral of thoughts, despite my own, views on this. But in the context of the class, I try to give you as much nuance as possible. Okay. So any other questions, just let me know, and keep up the struggle. The struggle is real, but y'all doing it right. Okay.